The restaurant was alive with noise. Glasses clinked, laughter echoed, and plates clattered. But Jordan heard none of it. His son, Caleb, tugged at his sleeve, pointing across the room. "Daddy, look," Caleb whispered. "That waitress looks like Mom." Jordan turned slowly, and his heart stopped. "Please like and subscribe to my channel for more content." Across the room stood a young woman with familiar eyes, the same gentle tilt of the head, the same sadness tucked behind her smile. It was as if he had been plunged back into the past. Jordan's hands trembled slightly as he stared at her. She noticed and offered a polite smile. "Is everything all right, sir?" she asked gently, her voice stirring long-buried memories. Jordan couldn't speak. Caleb, wide-eyed, tugged at him again. "Daddy, come on, talk to her. She really looks like Mom." Jordan finally found his voice, though it came out rough. "What's your name?" he asked, almost afraid of the answer. The waitress looked slightly taken aback, but answered kindly. "Sophia," she said. "Is there something I can help you with?" Jordan repeated the name, silently. Sophia. But how could she look so much like Amelia? His late wife had passed away 2 years ago, leaving a void nothing had filled. And now, standing before him, was a mirror image, breathing and smiling as if Amelia had returned. Caleb's curiosity burst out. "Daddy, can we talk to her? Please." Jordan nodded, pulling himself together. Sensing their strange expressions, Sophia frowned slightly. "Are you sure you're okay?" she asked again, her voice full of concern. Jordan gave a sheepish smile. "I'm sorry," he said softly. You look exactly like someone I loved very much." Sophia tilted her head thoughtfully, as if reaching into some distant part of her mind. Jordan's heart raced. Could this really be happening? "Well," Sophia said after a moment, "I'm about to take my break. If you want to talk, we can step outside." Jordan nodded eagerly. Caleb's face lit up with excitement. They followed her out to the small courtyard behind the restaurant, where soft leaves rustled in the evening breeze. As they sat on a worn bench, Sophia looked at them both, her curiosity clear. "So, who do I remind you of?" she asked, a smile playing on her lips. Jordan took a deep breath, feeling emotion, not his chest. "My wife," he said. "Her name was Amelia. She passed away 2 years ago." Sophia's face softened instantly, a flicker of sympathy passing through her eyes. "I'm so sorry," Sophia said quietly, her voice sincere. Jordan nodded, his throat too tight to answer. Caleb, however, was still bubbling with ideas. "Maybe you're like Mom's secret sister," he blurted out. Sophia blinked in surprise. "Sister," she echoed. "No, I don't think so. I grew up in an orphanage. I never had any family that I knew of." Jordan leaned forward, heart pounding. "Where were you born?" he asked, carefully masking his desperation. Sophia shrugged lightly. "I'm not really sure," she admitted. "My records just say my name and my birthday. No information about my parents." Jordan felt dizzy. Amelia had also grown up in an orphanage, always searching for family she never found. "And your birthday?" Jordan asked carefully. Sophia smiled a little. "September 12th, she replied. Jordan nearly fell off the bench. It was the same as Amelia's. He rubbed his face with both hands, trying to breathe. Sophia noticed his struggle and leaned closer. "Are you okay?" she asked gently. Jordan nodded weakly, but inside his world was spinning wildly. "Did you ever try to find your family?" Jordan asked. Sophia's expression darkened a little. "I tried," she said softly, "but there were no clues. It always felt like something was missing, though." Caleb's eyes shone with wonder. "Mom always said she felt like she had someone out there too," he whispered. Jordan stared at Sophia. It was too much to be a coincidence. Fate was reaching across time, pulling them together. Sophia hugged her arms around herself as the cool night air deepened. She looked at Jordan and Caleb, confusion and curiosity swirling in her eyes. "It's strange," she said slowly. "I've always felt like a part of me was missing. like I belonged somewhere else. Jordan swallowed hard, feeling a familiar ache in his chest. Maybe, he said carefully, you weren't as alone as you thought. Caleb leaned forward eagerly. We have pictures of Mom, he said. Maybe if you see them, you'll remember something. Sophia smiled kindly at him, but shook her head. I don't remember much from when I was really young, she said, and the orphanage didn't keep many pictures. Most of them were lost when they moved buildings. Jordan frowned, heart aching for all the lost connections. Jordan pulled out his phone, scrolling quickly through old photos. His fingers trembled slightly as he found a picture of Amelia from her teenage years, bright-eyed, hopeful, and full of life. Here, he said, holding it out carefully to Sophia. She leaned in to look, her breath catching the moment her eyes landed on the screen. That's me, Sophia whispered, her hand rising to cover her mouth. Tears welled in her eyes as she stared at the photo. Jordan gently shook his head. That's Amelia, he said, but you could be her twin. Sophia touched the screen tenderly, as though afraid it might disappear. Caleb's voice broke the heavy silence. I think you are Mom's sister. Sophia sat back slowly, the weight of the moment settling on her shoulders. She looked from Caleb to Jordan, her mind racing. If that's true, she said hesitantly, why were we separated? Why didn't anyone tell us? Jordan sighed heavily. We don't know yet, he admitted, but we can find out. A DNA test could give us the answers. Sophia hesitated, fear flickering across her face. And if it's not true? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jordan reached across and placed a hand gently over hers. No matter what the test says, he said softly, you have people now. You're not alone anymore. Caleb grinned, full of hope. And you could be my Aunt Sophia. A small, shaky laugh escaped Sophia's lips. She looked down at Caleb, then back at Jordan. A deep longing stirred inside her, a yearning she had tried to silence for years. All right, she said finally, her voice trembling. Let's do the test. I want to know. Jordan nodded firmly. We'll go first thing tomorrow. That night, Sophia lay awake in her small apartment, staring at the ceiling. Her mind replayed every detail of the evening. The familiar faces, the overwhelming emotions, the impossible chance of finding a family she never knew she had. Tears slipped silently down her cheeks as she whispered into the darkness. Please let it be true. Morning light crept into the sky as Jordan and Caleb arrived to pick her up. Jordan held a white envelope containing the referral for the DNA test. Sophia met them at the door, her hands wringing nervously. Are you ready? Jordan asked gently. Sophia nodded, though her stomach churned with nerves. The lab smelled of antiseptic and echoed with a clinical stillness. Sophia sat tensely as the technician explained the simple procedure. Caleb gave her a thumbs up from his chair, trying to make her smile. Jordan stayed by her side, steady and calm. In a matter of minutes, the samples were collected. Now all they could do was wait. After leaving the lab, Jordan suggested they find a place to relax while waiting for the results. They found a small, cozy cafe nearby. The walls were lined with books, and the smell of fresh pastries filled the air. Caleb chattered excitedly about what kind of games they would play if Sophia became his aunt. Sophia smiled warmly at him, but inside, she was struggling to calm the storm of emotions that refused to settle. Jordan watched Sophia carefully. She had barely touched her drink, her hands wrapped tightly around the warm cup. No matter what the test says, he said quietly, you belong with us now. Sophia lifted her eyes to meet his, gratitude flashing through her. I never expected any of this, she whispered. Yesterday I was alone. Today, I might have a family. Days passed, each one heavier than the last. Sophia found herself checking her phone every few minutes, even though she knew it was too soon. Jordan did the same, though he tried to hide his impatience from Caleb. It was hard to focus on anything else. The possibilities loomed over them, large and trembling with hope. Finally, one evening, just as Sophia finished wiping down the last table at the restaurant, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Jordan. The results are in. Her heart stumbled in her chest. Her fingers shook as she quickly called him. Jordan answered on the first ring. "I'm coming to get you," he said, his voice tight but calm. Sophia barely managed to reply before hanging up. 15 minutes later, Jordan's car pulled up outside the restaurant. Sophia climbed into the passenger seat, her heart hammering against her ribs. On his lap, Jordan held a white envelope, the answer to everything. He looked at her, silently asking if she wanted to open it herself or have him tell her. She barely managed to whisper, "Tell me." Jordan took a deep breath. His hands were steady, but his eyes glistened. "Your sisters," he said softly. Sophia froze. The words took a moment to sink in. Tears blurred her vision. She pressed both hands over her mouth, a gasp breaking free. A family. She had a family. Not just in dreams, not just in hope, but real and breathing. Tears spilled down Sophia's cheeks unchecked. Jordan reached out, placing a steadying hand over hers. Caleb leaned forward from the back seat and wrapped his arms around her. "You're my Aunt Sophia now," he said proudly. Sophia laughed through her tears, the sound raw and beautiful. It felt as if the cracks in her heart were slowly healing. Jordan drove them to his house, to what had been Amelia's home, the place still filled with her spirit. As they stepped inside, Sophia inhaled deeply. A soft scent lingered in the air, Amelia's favorite perfume. It wrapped around Sophia like a memory she hadn't known she carried. "Come," Jordan said gently. "There's something you should see." He guided her to the living room, where a stack of photo albums rested on a small wooden shelf. Jordan picked one up and handed it to her. Sophia sat down carefully and opened the album. Inside, Amelia's life unfolded, pictures of her smiling, laughing, holding baby Caleb in her arms. With every page turned, Sophia felt closer to the sister she never got to meet. "She was always searching," Jordan said softly, watching her. She said she could feel someone missing. "She just didn't know it was you." Sophia touched the images with trembling fingers. "I wish I could have found her sooner," she whispered. Caleb leaned against her shoulder, his little face solemn. "But now you have us," he said. Sophia smiled through her tears and pulled him close. They spent the evening sharing memories of Amelia. Jordan told stories about her stubbornness, her laughter, her love for singing badly at the top of her lungs. Caleb chimed in with his own tales of silly moments with his mom. Sophia listened intently, weaving every word into her heart. Piece by piece, she built a picture of the sister she lost and found. When it was time to leave, Sophia hesitated at the door. Jordan saw the sadness flicker across her face and said quietly, "You don't have to go, Sophia. This is your home too." Sophia looked between him and Caleb, who was now dozing on the couch, a soft snore escaping him. Her heart swelled with a warmth she hadn't felt in years. "I'll stay," she whispered. The words felt like a promise to herself as much as to them. Jordan nodded, saying nothing, but his eyes said everything. Sophia returned to the couch, pulling a blanket over Caleb and settling beside him. She closed her eyes, listening to the soft hum of the house. For the first time in forever, she felt safe. Outside, the city lights blurred into gentle patterns against the night sky. Inside, laughter and memories wove an invisible thread around the three of them. Sophia knew that Amelia was there too, somehow smiling, somehow part of every heartbeat. Life had broken her before, but it had also led her here, to family, to love, to a second chance. And so, with a full heart and a future that once seemed impossible, Sophia whispered into the quiet room, "Thank you." It was meant for Jordan, for Caleb, for Amelia, and for the mysterious, painful, beautiful path that had finally led her home.